Hi, I'm Marty Nemko. Hippocrates said, "First do no harm." That time-honored entreaty has implications far beyond medicine, but let's start there. As with all bumper sticker advice, it's simplistic. Sometimes it's wise to choose to harm a patient in hopes of preventing worse harm. For example, surgeons cut out a cancer in hopes of preventing metastasis. Dentists perform a root canal to prevent more serious infection. Physical therapists ask patients to do painful exercises to avoid the sequelae of atrophy. On the other hand, sometimes physicians craving for understanding and to avoid being accused of inadequately responding are motivated to order tests and treatments that have poor cost-benefit. An obvious example is suggesting that a stage 4 cancer patient undergo high side-effect, low-payoff chemotherapy. Perhaps less obvious is when a doctor orders a test, the results of which would be interesting, but doesn't suggest a treatment. For example, I know of a doctor who ordered a lung biopsy on an 86-year-old whose underlying conditions suggested she had at most 2 years to live. If it came back positive for cancer, that would likely call for surgery, chemotherapy, and/or radiation, and in a person that old and infirm, the liabilities and risks would likely exceed the benefits, especially to quality of life. Now let's turn to career. The career counselor, or at least this career counselor, comes into a first session with a client with respect for their current career, even if the client's stated goal is to change careers. That's because most people end up in a career for a confluence of reasonable reasons. For example, the client may say he or she hates being in human resources, but landed a job in that field because of some combination of wanting a helping profession within an organization, having a connection that got him or her a better job than the person would have gotten in the open market, and a genetic and environmental predisposition to being competent enough to be hired in that field. More than half the time, such clients end up deciding that they're better off staying in that career and just tweaking it, change their job description, their boss, or their employer. If I too quickly accept a client's asking to change career, I might do more harm than good. First, do no harm. Now let's turn to relationships. I am less inclined to follow first do no harm when counseling people about their relationship. That's because too often people get into a romantic relationship for unsustainable reasons, looks, lust, or they're being a bad boy or a bad girl. Alas, those bases are usually insufficient to sustain even an intermediate-term relationship. When a client wonders whether to stay with a partner, I often invite the client to rate the partner as well as themselves on what I call the relationship report card. If you Google Nemko, N-E-M-K-O, and the words relationship report card, you'll find it. Now let's turn to recreation. First do no harm has applicability even in recreation, notably in sports. Especially as adults, athletes have developed an approach to, for example, basketball shooting or a golf swing or a baseball swing that suits them. It's tempting for a coach to say, raise your elbow, shorten your stride, whatever. But if you make him change one thing, it tends to throw off other things that comprise that person's technique, resulting in a net negative. Counselors, and not to mention, it's not fun. Counselors and coaches don't feel you add value mainly to the extent you change someone. Your value often is in mainly legitimizing and supporting their status quo. Of course, as with all decisions, it rarely should be black and white. For example, if a mere tweak will likely yield a significant improvement, of course suggest it, but be ready to reverse field if a reasonable trial yields a worse result. And finally, let's turn to religion. It's perhaps surprising to hear this from a confirmed atheist, but I do not try to disabuse my religious clients of their faith. There's usually a constellation of factors that lead the person to be net benefited from their religion, organized or not. But again, it's not black and white. So, for example, let's say a client is rendered too inert by belief in New Testament doctrine such as, be not wise in your own eyes, God shall supply all you need. That's from Philippians 4:19. Or, trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. That's from Proverbs 3:1. Or, if you have faith like a grain of mustard seed, you will say to the mountain, move from here to there, and it'll move, and nothing will be impossible for you. That comes from Matthew 17:20. I would just ask the client if he or she feels that their behavior reflects the balance of faith and of will that he or she deems wise. The takeaway? Nuance trumps black and white thinking, even regarding such long-valued directives as first do no harm. In any event, I thank you for watching. I'm Marty Nemko. I welcome your thumbs up and accept your thumbs down. I always look forward to your comments, and I especially like it if you hit the share button below, share on your social media so that my efforts can have broader impact. And I am flattered if you choose to subscribe to my channel. And in any event, I do thank you for watching. I am Marty Nemko.